Hello, my dear little friends. Welcome to Storytime with Dua. Please like, share, and subscribe for amazing stories every day.
Belling the cat. Once upon a time in a cozy little village, there was a bustling community of mice. They lived in the nooks and crannies of a large, old farmhouse. The mice loved their home, but there was one big problem: a sneaky, clever cat named Whiskers who prowled the house day and night, always looking for a mouse to catch. Whiskers was swift and silent, with soft paws that made no sound when he walked. The mice lived in constant fear, never knowing when Whiskers might pounce. Each day, they gathered in secret to discuss their growing problem, but no one had a solution. One evening, the mice held an emergency meeting under the floorboards of the kitchen. The leader of the mice, an elderly and wise mouse named Benjamin, stood up to address the group. "Something must be done about Whiskers," he said. "We cannot go on living in fear. We need a plan." The mice murmured in agreement, but no one had an idea. Finally, a young and adventurous mouse named Leo spoke up. "What if we could find a way to hear Whiskers coming? If we knew when he was nearby, we could hide before he catches us." The mice nodded eagerly. "But how?" asked another mouse. Leo thought for a moment. "What if we tie a bell around his neck? That way, whenever Whiskers moves, the bell will jingle, and we'll know he's approaching." The room erupted with excitement. It was a brilliant idea. With a bell, they could live freely, without fear of being caught by surprise. "But who will bell the cat?" asked Benjamin, his voice soft and serious. The room fell silent. The mice looked around at one another, realizing the dangerous task ahead. Whiskers was not only sneaky but also fierce. Approaching him would be incredibly risky. One by one, the mice began to make excuses. "I'm too small," said one. "I'm not fast enough," said another. Even Leo, the mouse who had come up with the plan, hesitated. Suddenly, a small, quiet voice spoke up. It was a tiny mouse named Millie, who had always been shy and never spoke at the meetings. "I'll do it," she said, stepping forward. The other mice gasped. Millie was the smallest and most delicate mouse in the entire community. Surely, she couldn't be serious. "Are you sure, Millie?" asked Benjamin, looking at her with concern. Millie nodded, her tiny eyes filled with determination. "I may be small, but I'm quick and light on my feet. If anyone can sneak up on Whiskers, it's me." The mice whispered among themselves, unsure if Millie's bravery would be enough. But they knew they had no other choice. After all, no one else had volunteered. The next morning, Millie set off on her mission. Armed with a tiny bell tied to a piece of string, she carefully made her way to Whiskers' favorite napping spot by the fireplace. The cat was fast asleep, his body stretched out lazily on a warm cushion. Millie's heart pounded in her chest as she tiptoed closer. She could hear her own tiny breaths, but Whiskers remained still, snoring softly. With every careful step, Millie got closer and closer. Finally, she stood right next to the cat's neck. Her paws trembled as she reached out and gently tied the bell around Whiskers' collar. For a moment, Millie froze, waiting to see if Whiskers would wake up. But the cat just shifted in his sleep, completely unaware of what had happened. Millie couldn't believe it, she had done it. As quickly and quietly as she could, Millie darted back to the safety of the mouse hole, where the other mice were waiting anxiously. When she arrived, the mice cheered, lifting Millie up on their tiny shoulders. She had succeeded. From that day on, life in the farmhouse changed. Whenever Whiskers moved, the little bell jingled, giving the mice enough time to scurry away and hide. They were no longer afraid, and they lived happily in their cozy home, always remembering the bravery of Millie, the smallest mouse who had the biggest heart. And as for Whiskers? Well, he could never quite figure out why the mice were always one step ahead of him.